So this is fun. Dude is just stuck here. Lead Infernium to gate, huh? Okay, come on. Let's go. Come on, let's go to the gate. Dang, that didn't work. Hey everyone, it's Spopes reporting here from the Writhing Fortress, which yesterday was a whole lot of fun. For more on that, you can check out my stream from yesterday in which I did successfully get through the Writhing Fortress. There are some definite highlights here where you fight giant kaiju-like monsters. There's some pretty fun and engaging gameplay throughout the events, and the final boss battle against this giant guy was amazing. But then today, here we are back to what I've come to expect from this event, where a critical part of continuing it has failed to work. Yeah, I thought I'd just log back in and go on a different character and show all the cool parts of the Writhing Fortress again. But yeah, it looks like that is not happening today, and it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the video. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to cover the Writhing Fortress today, Phase 3 of the Battle for the Writhing Wall event, the ups, the downs, what I think it means about the future of the game overall. I hope you stick with me till the end, and before we jump in, please remember to like the video, hype it if you're on mobile, and subscribe to the channel. So I really like the Writhing Fortress. They did a great job with the design here. It's a beautiful area, and this boss who is, through this gate, insert let me in meme here. This boss was cool. All the bosses were cool. I really like the way it's designed, but yeah, it's pretty broken. There was a hot fix after Phase 3 came out that was supposed to fix this, but apparently the event is still majorly buggy. This is just kind of par for the course with the Battle for the Writhing Wall event in general. It feels like it wasn't tested. It feels like it was just shoved out there to provide some content, whether or not it was good content. I did just log out and log back in. Maybe now it'll be fixed. Some things I did really enjoy about the event were its difficulty. The mobs are pretty strong, and there are a lot of them. There are plenty of mechanics to avoid, like this crazy beam of whatever that's coming through here right now. Clearly, a lot of thought went into the design of this event, this part of it at least. So much so that in many ways, I feel like it really does redeem the event pretty majorly. You have to cooperate with other players to achieve the tasks. Again, the environment itself is beautiful, and it's reasonably challenging. The way I described it yesterday when I was in the middle of the event is that it's basically like a trial, but without having to actually put together a group. It's actually challenging and pretty worth your time. And we'll see, maybe I'll actually make it through this time. Speaking about the positive, one of the best parts is the fact that you actually use siege weapons. I think this is the first time you've done that outside of Cyrodiil. And yeah, even when you have a pretty large group, the mobs are still relatively difficult to clear. It is definitely trial level difficulty at least. And now here comes the moment of truth. After we defeat this guy, is he going to follow us as he's supposed to, or is it going to bug again? And this time it looks like the guy is actually going to go through. That's pretty cool, this giant Kamehameha. And now we get to fight this giant crazy boss. This is definitely one of the highlights of the event. So Phase 1 and Phase 2 were billed as this giant cooperative venture, and that really did not happen in any meaningful way. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, you were actually competing rather than cooperating for the vast majority of it. But in Phase 3, there is a tangible sense of cooperation. You're all working together to achieve these goals. Finally, one of the base premises of the event has been fulfilled. You're actually working together to do something. But as you've noticed just so far in this video, the event is majorly buggy. When it first launched here on PlayStation NA, it didn't work at all. What happened was the first group to go through and complete it basically completed it for everybody. What I mean by that is the instance did not reset. It's supposed to work like a public dungeon where when new people go in it, there's a new instance, but that didn't happen. So the first 12 hours or so of the event were completely bugged out. You couldn't even complete it. There was a hole in the wall where you could go explore Eastern Solstice, but you couldn't actually come complete the event. This is just generally in keeping with the low effort vibe that we've been seeing from ZOS throughout this entire year of content. We started to see the effort go down with High Isle, just barely. That's when they started talking about how this was too ambitious for them really to handle. And then they split the whole Necrom story into 2 separate years, where you had, I think it was called Shadows of Morrowind, and there was the first part that was in Necrom, and then Gold Road was a continuation of that. So they split their chapters into 2 years because I guess they just couldn't handle it anymore. The staff wasn't up to it. They didn't have the funding for it. I don't know exactly what happened there, but we started to see a decline in the frequency of the release of content and the robustness of the content that was released. And now with Solstice and the Writhing Wall event, this is probably the smallest zone they've ever come out with. I was running through Blackreach yesterday, and that's a side zone of the Greymoor chapter. that was actually bigger, I think. Like just Blackreach is, I'm thinking, bigger than both Western and Eastern Solstice combined. And now we do have this event in this public dungeon, and it's really cool. I think they've really fulfilled the premise of the events. But as you've seen, as I've mentioned, as many others have mentioned, it doesn't work all the time. There are bugs that can be pretty annoying. But just in general, the content has been drip fed this season, this chapter, this year, whatever you want to call it. Instead of getting the massive, huge dumps of content we used to get during the glory days of the game, they now give us smaller amounts of content over the same period of time. The content is less robust. It seems to be less thoroughly play tested. Less love is put into it. There are more bugs, and just generally, there's less of it. Getting back to the positive for a second, this is genuinely really cool. Having these enormous monsters, having a collaborative event, kind of like they do in Fortnite, that has never been done before. When it works, I would say that Phase 3 of the Writhing Wall does redeem the event overall. But the operative phrase here is when it works, and it does not always work. It didn't work at the beginning when it was first launched. And by the way, when we completed Phase 2, suddenly there was a 20-hour timer before we could start getting into the Writhing Fortress. We thought we'd be able to get in right when we completed Phase 2, but no, we had to wait 20 hours. And then after waiting 20 hours, it was so bugged out, it didn't even work. And now, more than a day into Phase 3, it's still so buggy that it doesn't always work. So overall, I would say that, yeah, Phase 3 does redeem the event. Phase 1 and Phase 2 were really boring. Phase 3 is great, but again, it hardly works. And more importantly than that, they're giving us less and less with every year. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, it is possible that ESO is just temporarily going on maintenance mode while they fix things, make the game better overall in preparation of a new golden age to come in the game. But I've also mentioned that MMOs in general are going down the tubes and there isn't as much funding out there for gaming. I really think that what we've experienced this year in the Solstice chapter and the Writhing Wall event is shrinkflation. There were massive layoffs at ZOS. There's been restructuring of the studio, and I think they just don't have as much funding anymore to pursue big, bold, and beautiful projects. I think this is a trend that has been ongoing for the last few years. We started to see the first signs of stress cracks appearing with the High Isle chapter. Things really started falling apart in Necrom and Gold Road, and now they're basically just phoning it in. I think this is partially to do with overall economic factors, where just getting funding for everything is difficult. But I also think there's just been a lot bad going on at ZOS in the last few years. I think that's why there were a lot of these shakeups in terms of the top management, why there were layoffs, why there was this need that the workers felt to unionize. Gaming itself is in a relatively shaky place. MMOs are in an even shakier place. And then ZOS, out of all the MMO studios, is in one of the shakiest places overall. So I still think it's a little bit too early to predict what this all means about the future of ESO. If, as I've speculated, they bring in more components of Skyrim next year, if they take this model of these giant cooperative events and they make it into something that actually works, is less buggy, feels more cooperative and rewarding throughout the events, there's a chance that ESO could turn things around. But just generally, the overall trend does seem to be going in the other direction. The game had a shaky first few years. Then after the Morrowind chapter, starting in Somerset, it really started to reach its zenith or its peak. And then Somerset, Elsewhere, and Greymoor were all excellent chapters, from which point the game does seem to have declined year after year. I like what they've done here with this event. My first run through it yesterday was absolutely amazing. I didn't experience any bugs. I really enjoyed the difficulty, the collaborative aspects. The rewards felt genuinely rewarding. I got to the end with a feeling of accomplishment, like I'd had a lot of fun. And that was for the first time in the course of this event, and honestly, for the first time in this year of content in ESO. So if they take the successes they've enjoyed in this third and final phase of the Battle for the Writhing Wall, if they expand on that, if they turn this trend around and start making better and better content instead of worse and worse content, I still believe there could be a renaissance in the future of ESO. I just want to state again that I genuinely have had fun in the Writhing Fortress. You get some pretty good rewards from these chests. And Eastern Solstice isn't really that much better than Western Solstice, but there are some high points. And it's at least new content that you can go and explore and enjoy. The final boss fight, especially in the Writhing Fortress, is a lot of fun. And again, for more footage on that, you can check out my stream from yesterday. The first 30 minutes or so cover me going through the entire fortress. That's 30 minutes of fun in an overall year of content that has been so lackluster that I really don't think there's ever been anything like it in the history of ESO up until this point. Even with the shaky launch and the few years after that, the DLCs were lots of fun. But last night when I was doing the main story quest for Eastern Solstice, I just found myself so bored that I couldn't really engage. I feel like the writing has decreased in quality. The way they're characterizing these older characters, kind of reshaping their characters, I don't especially like it. I could be a prude, but I feel like everything is overly sexualized. I just find it kind of weird that you can say romantic things to Razumdar. I don't really know. I just don't know where this is going. I still have hope for the future of ESO, and that's only compounded by the fact that when the Writhing Fortress does work, it really works. It's a lot of fun. But the only way the game is going to get better overall is if they maximize on these successes. If ZOS actually learns from this event and makes future events and future content better, then the game has a chance of actually improving, gaining players back, being amazing and excellent for years to come. But at the same time, I have heard lots of feedback from players over the last couple of weeks saying things like, if future content is like this, I am not buying the content pass. I feel like I was cheated. I feel like they tricked me into paying money for something that wasn't worth it. And as a live service game where you're trying to convince people to keep buying the game year after year after year, keep staying subscribed, etc., keep buying the crown store items, you don't want to be in that position where your players feel like they were legitimately conned. And I'm sorry, but as fun as it may be, and the Writhing Fortress definitely is fun, 30 minutes of actually engaging gameplay does not make up for an entire year of lackluster content. When just the same yearly events they've been doing for years are actually more fun than the newest content that's coming out, there is a problem with the game. And it's a problem that honestly I don't have a lot of faith that ZOS is going to address. One of the saving graces of ESO is that there is so much content to enjoy already. I mentioned that yesterday I was exploring Blackreach again and just realizing how much I still love that area. When you combine all the different zones, there are literally thousands of hours of content to enjoy. I don't even know how many square kilometers of landmass to go explore, side quests to do, places to vibe out. It's not like the last 10 or 11 years of development have all been for nothing. But going back and enjoying old content only goes so far. For the game to really survive and thrive for the next 10 to 20 years, as is supposedly their model going forward, new content has to continually be the same quality or ideally better quality than what they've come out with before, or else eventually interest will die out, revenue will decrease, and the game will slowly be put on permanent maintenance mode. So we have yet to see whether this gamble of, okay, let's put the game on semi-maintenance mode, let's purposely reduce the quality of the ongoing content for a year while we make serious changes to the background systems, maybe that will pay off. But if it doesn't, and if we continue to see a decrease in the quality of the game, as we've seen this year in Solstice and with the Writhing Wall events, I honestly don't know how long ESO can survive based on the quality of previous content alone. So we've now managed to get into the last phase of the event. So what I'm left with thinking here is that there's literally never been anything like this in the history of ESO. This kind of drop-in collaborative events where there's really challenging enemies you all have to fight together for this singular goal of getting to the end, defeating giant boss monsters. That's really cool. But there's an equal and opposite sentiment to this one. And that's the fact that overall, there's never been a worse year of content in ESO. When it works, the Writhing Fortress may go a long way toward redeeming the battle for the Writhing Wall. At least it's not just doing dailies and turning them in and seeing this fake progress bar increasing at whatever rate ZOS decides it should increase. But I don't think I'm alone in saying I will not be satisfied if every year of content going forward is hours and hours and hours of low effort content and then 30 minutes of actual enjoyment. No matter how good they make future events like this, just being able to come in and play for 30 minutes to an hour, I mean, an hour if it's bugged and you have to wait for it to get fixed, of really enjoyable, high effort content like this, that's just not going to be enough. Looking on the bright side, the Writhing Fortress is genuinely fun. Especially this last boss fight is absolutely incredible. It's innovative, well thought out. I haven't seen it bug yet. You have to go to all these different floating islands and use the siege weapons. This boss literally has almost 70 million health. He's absolutely enormous. So really good job here, ZOS. I will give credit where credit is due, that they really pulled off the basic premise of the Writhing Fortress events very, very well. So again, just summing up, this is great, but it's not enough. 30 to 60 minutes of enjoyable content is not enough to redeem a chapter, and a chapter like this is not enough to save the game if they keep producing content at this level of quality going forward. As a big fan of the game, I always hope for the best for the future of ESO. I'm never trying to drag it down. I'm never trying to just be negative for the sake of negativity. I do my absolute best to be objective, to give credit where it's due, criticism where it's required. I'm always trying to think about the future of the game overall. So if you guys do appreciate that overall perspective, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hype it, share it with your friends, put it on Reddit, put it on Discord, whatever you want to do. And in the comments, please do let me know if you agree or disagree, whether you think that Phase 3 does redeem the event or not, whether you feel like it redeems the entire chapter, again, sorry, seasons, whatever they want to call it now. Or if you're in my position where no matter how good this phase of the event is, it is about 30 minutes of content that is actually high effort and high quality amidst a sea of just a completely disappointing zone and disappointing content overall. If you think I was too harsh or not harsh enough, feel free to give me your honest feedback. And I just want to end by saying I hope that you do go and enjoy Phase 3 of the Writhing Wall. The Writhing Fortress is really fun. Eastern Solstice is a pretty cool zone from what I've been able to see, but it's small. And I can just feel like there's not as much love and effort put into it. I can understand why, but going forward, this is just not going to cut it. The game will continue to decline if this is the standard of content quality that we now have to accept. So thanks everyone for watching till the end. I'm going to finish up with a prayer. Lord, thank you for my channel. Thank you for the video. I give all glory to you, Lord. Thank you for ESO. Please continue to make it an excellent game. Please inspire the developers to make it better in the future. Lord, you tell us to pray in all places and for all things. I just ask you to instill understanding in my community that it is not sacrilegious to pray to you in this way for the game. And I just pray for my community in general. I ask that you bless everyone watching this video, everyone in my community. Thank you for making me a resource of information and entertainment. Lord, please continue to bless me and strengthen me in this venture going forward. And again, please do bless the game and make it better. Make it an enjoyable and wonderful game and home for all of its players for years to come. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. And again, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Please do like the video, hype it, share it with your friends. And when you do subscribe, turn on notifications because I'll be back soon with new content.